They don't just want you to fail. They want you to break in public so they can feed on the spectacle. They want your ambitions to become a cautionary tale they tell others. See what happens when you try to rise too high. They smile to your face while sharpening the knives. And if you think their approval means safety, you're already halfway buried. The truth? No one roots for you when you have the potential to outrun them. They want you predictable, tame, and dependent on their mercy. The world doesn't play fair, and power doesn't care about fairness. You think in terms of right and wrong. They think in terms of advantage and leverage. This is the first shift. To see people not as friends or enemies, but as players with different stakes on the same board. Every smile hides a motive. Every alliance has an expiration date. This is the game Machiavelli warned about. Perception is more valuable than honesty, and control of the narrative is more lethal than any weapon. Once you grasp that, you stop walking into traps set in plain sight. From now on, you don't reveal your full hand. You don't play every card you hold. You let them underestimate you, because a predator is most dangerous when mistaken for prey. You speak less, observe more, and make moves in silence until your position is unshakable. You train yourself to feel nothing when they doubt you, and even less when they praise you. Both are distractions. Your rise will not be celebrated, it will be feared. And that is how you know you're doing it right. So, the lesson begins now. The law of hidden war. You are not in peace. You are in a war disguised as life. The weapons are not swords or bullets. They are influence, whispers, and subtle sabotage. The enemy is rarely in plain sight. They operate in quiet corridors, in private messages, in small decisions that cut your path without ever touching your hands. This is hidden war, a battlefield where the naive are devoured and only the alert survive. If you think no one is plotting against you, it's because they've hidden it well enough for you to be comfortable. Machiavelli's wisdom was simple. Never underestimate the ambition of others. Every person you meet carries their own goals, their own fears, and if you become an obstacle to either, you become their target. Some will smile as they dismantle you. Some will pretend to help you, only to poison the well when your back is turned. You cannot fight what you cannot see, unless you learn to read the subtle signs of attack. Listen to the tone that shifts when your success is mentioned. Watch the alliances that form without reason. Count the times your name is absent in rooms where it should be spoken. Your defense begins with awareness, not paranoia, but pattern recognition. Do not accuse, do not react. You gain nothing by showing you've noticed. Instead, watch. The moment you reveal awareness, they will adjust their tactics and you lose your advantage. Keep your enemies confident in your ignorance. Their overconfidence becomes their leash. The predator who believes the prey is blind moves closer, and closer is where you strike. You are not here to expose them. You are here to neutralize them without warning. Understand this. The battlefield is not where swords clash, but where reputations are shaped and decisions are made behind closed doors. If you cannot see the war, you cannot win it. But once you do, you have two options: dismantle the threat quietly or turn it into a weapon that serves you. Either way, your enemies should learn one lesson: they cannot move against you without feeling the cost. That is the law of hidden war. You survive by knowing more than you reveal, and by revealing less than you know. Comment this: I see the war now. Let them play their game. You're about to change the rules. Control the optics. Power is never just about what you are. It's about what people believe you are. In the Machiavellian world, perception is armor and weapon in one. Your victories mean nothing if the world doesn't see them, and your mistakes mean nothing if the world never hears of them. Control the optics, and you control the battlefield before a single move is made. A man who looks inevitable is treated differently than a man who looks desperate. The crowd may not know the truth of your power, but they will react to the image you project as if it were fact. This is why you never let the public see you bleed. When you stumble, you frame it as a calculated step. When you lose, you present it as a lesson you wanted to learn. Your enemies will try to paint your missteps in blood. You turn them into gold. Perception turns reality into a tool. The story you tell becomes the truth they believe. You must shape that story relentlessly. Dress it in confidence. Deliver it with certainty. Let every appearance, every word, every silence reinforce the image of someone unshakable. But controlling optics isn't just about how you look. It's about how others look by comparison. If your rival appears frantic while you appear composed, you win without lifting a finger. If they are seen reacting while you are seen dictating, the power shift is complete. The game is not just about looking strong, it's about making them look weaker without them ever realizing you engineered it. This requires patience, subtlety, and a refusal to chase approval. Your approval comes from control, not applause. Never explain too much. The moment you over-explain, you invite doubt. Speak in measured tones. Give half answers that imply you know more than you reveal. Leave them guessing. Uncertainty about you is more dangerous than open hostility against you. When they cannot define you, they cannot predict you. When they cannot predict you, they cannot stop you. In the court of perception, the man who decides what is seen decides who survives. Control the optics, and the truth will bend until it serves you. Comment this: I control what they see, because once you own the lens, you own the story. And once you own the story, you own them. Ruthless self-preservation. You owe loyalty only to those who prove loyalty to you. Everything else is a transaction, and transactions are renegotiated the moment the cost outweighs the benefit. In a world where everyone secretly weighs your value against their own advantage, blind loyalty is a luxury you cannot afford. Machiavelli knew that a ruler who loves everyone equally loves no one effectively. You must protect yourself above all, because when you fall, those who claim to stand with you will scatter like leaves in a storm. Your preservation is not selfishness. It is the foundation of your power. Without it, you are a servant to the agendas of others. The first law of self-preservation is emotional detachment. You cannot make strategic decisions if you're tethered to guilt, nostalgia, or the illusion of eternal alliances. People change when circumstances change, and those changes are often hidden until the knife is already at your back. Watch for shifts in tone, delays in response, small inconsistencies in commitment. These are cracks in the loyalty they swore to you. Do not patch these cracks with hope. Fortify yourself instead. You are not here to rescue relationships. You are here to protect your position. Cutting ties is an art, not a tantrum. You sever without noise, without drama, without explanation. The cleanest break is the most powerful one. Let them wonder why you disappeared. Let them feel the silence as a warning. If they become your enemy after you leave, it's proof you were right to leave. Never waste energy convincing them you were justified. Justification is for the weak. The strong move on and build higher walls. When you let go of the wrong person, you create space for the right alliance to enter. Self-preservation is also about resource control. Your time, your information, your influence. You do not give more than you can afford to lose. Every time you share a plan, ask yourself if this person could use it against you if they turned tomorrow. Every time you invest in someone's growth, ask if they could stand against you one day. The paranoid man trusts no one. The wise man trusts only what he can control. You are aiming for wisdom, not paranoia. But understand that the line between them is thin, and the difference is discipline. Never apologize for protecting yourself. Those who call you cold are often the ones who plan to exploit your warmth. Ruthless self-preservation does not mean harming others for pleasure. It means refusing to be the sacrificial piece in someone else's game. It means walking away before the fire spreads to you. It means knowing that in the great war of ambition, the man who survives longest wins, not because he's the most liked, but because he's the last one standing. Comment this: I protect the throne, because in the Machiavellian game, survival is victory. And without survival, nothing else matters. Weaponizing silence. Silence is not weakness. Silence is not surrender. Silence is a weapon sharper than any insult, more destabilizing than any threat. Words can be twisted, but silence forces the enemy to twist their own thoughts until they strangle themselves. Machiavelli understood this. Control information, and you control the flow of power. Every piece of knowledge about you is a potential blade in someone else's hands. When you speak less, you give them less to sharpen. You leave them guessing, and guessing breeds fear. A man who cannot be read is a man who cannot be cornered. The naive speak to fill the air. The powerful speak to fill a purpose. Every time you reveal something unnecessary, you bleed leverage. Most people will hand over their strategies and vulnerabilities just to avoid the discomfort of silence. You will train yourself to thrive in it. Let others grow uneasy when words are missing. Let them talk more to cover the void. In that excess, they will reveal their intentions, their weaknesses, their lies. You will speak only when speaking moves the needle in your favor. Every word should be an arrow aimed at a target, never a stone thrown into the dark. Silence also kills momentum in your enemies. When they try to provoke you and you give nothing, their effort collapses under its own weight. When they expect a reaction and receive only stillness, they begin to doubt the effectiveness of their attack. This doubt spreads, first into hesitation, then into fear. They cannot predict you if they cannot measure you. Silence makes you a mirror in which they see only themselves, and in seeing themselves, they often recoil. You are no longer playing defense. You are forcing them to play against their own mind. But silence does not mean absence. You are present, you are listening, you are calculating. Your stillness must feel deliberate, not accidental. The way you look at them while you say nothing should feel heavier than any speech. The pause before your next move should stretch just long enough for them to wonder if they've made a mistake. You will learn to weaponize timing. A well-placed pause can turn a simple statement into a threat, a compliment into a test, a refusal into a sentence. Power lies in the space between words. You must also protect your silence like you protect your wealth. The wrong company will drain it with gossip. The wrong alliances will demand it with petty wars. Choose your audience as carefully as you choose your confidants. Both should be rare. A man who speaks rarely is remembered every time he does. And when you do speak, the room will lean in. Not because they like you, because they fear missing something that matters. Comment this: my silence is my sword. Because in this game, the less they hear, the less they can harm, and the more you own the ending. Divide and rule. Power is rarely destroyed from the outside. It collapses from within. Every empire that has fallen, every dynasty that has crumbled, every leader who has been overthrown, all fell because their enemies turned their own allies against them. Machiavelli mastered the principle of divide and rule because he understood that unity among your enemies is the only real threat you cannot afford. As long as they distrust each other, as long as they compete for position, they cannot unite against you. Your goal is not to fight them all at once. Your goal is to ensure they are too busy fighting each other. This is not chaos for the sake of chaos. This is precision sabotage, subtle enough to be invisible, calculated enough to be irreversible. You do not openly accuse one of betrayal. You plant the seed that maybe, just maybe, their loyalty is not absolute. You feed small fragments of truth laced with implication. Never give them enough to confront directly. Give them enough to doubt privately. A whispered suggestion here, a casual observation there, a single raised eyebrow when a name is mentioned. These are sparks in dry grass. You are patient enough to let the fire spread on its own. Division thrives where ego thrives. You identify who needs recognition, who fears being replaced, who believes they deserve more than they are given. Then you subtly reinforce those feelings, not with direct promises, but with acknowledgements that validate their suspicions. Make them feel they are being overlooked. Make them believe others are moving against them. You are not lying. You are simply amplifying the truth they already suspect. The beauty of this method is that they will believe they reached the conclusion themselves, and when a man believes a thought is his own, he will defend it to the death. But there is a danger here. Never be caught as the architect of division. If they unite against you, the strategy fails. This is why your fingerprints must be invisible. Let the information flow through intermediaries. Let it accidentally fall into the right ears. Use third parties who don't even know they are delivering a weapon. A passing remark at the right dinner table can travel further than a speech shouted in the public square. Your power lies in never being the source that can be traced. While they are divided, you position yourself as the stable center. You are the one everyone feels they can approach. You become the bridge that connects each fractured part. But you never repair the fractures completely. If you fix them entirely, they may unite in strength. If you let them crumble too far, they may self-destruct and leave you with no pieces to use. You maintain just enough tension to keep them dependent on your presence. In their minds, you are not just a player, you are the only one holding the game together. Understand this. Divide and rule is not just a strategy, it's a shield. It prevents coalitions from forming. It keeps threats fragmented and manageable. It ensures that no one grows strong enough to challenge you directly. This is how rulers have maintained power for centuries without endless war. You are not trying to destroy every enemy. You are ensuring no enemy is ever strong enough to matter. And when they are too busy fighting each other to notice your moves, you will be free to build your empire unchallenged. Comment this. I turn enemies into rivals, because when they cannot unite, they cannot win, and when they cannot win, they will serve you without even knowing it. Calculated aggression. Aggression is not about constant attack. That is the mistake of the reckless. True Machiavellian aggression is calculated, precise, and delivered only when the outcome is worth the cost. Strike too often, and you become predictable. Strike too rarely, and they mistake you for passive. The art lies in choosing moments so carefully that when you act, it feels inevitable. Your move should hit with the force of inevitability, leaving no opening for retaliation. You are not here to flail in rage. You are here to make every blow count like a final blow. Patience is your shield. Timing is your sword. You must learn to store your energy like a predator stalking prey, conserving strength until the moment comes to end the hunt. Aggression without timing is noise. Aggression with timing is power. You do not shout at every insult. You do not confront every slight. You wait. You watch patterns. You learn their habits. And when they finally overstep, when they leave themselves exposed, you deliver the strike. It lands so decisively that the lesson is felt not just by them, but by everyone watching. That is how you make aggression a deterrent. When you act with finality. No half measures, no uncertainty. If you are going to remove a threat, remove it entirely. A crippled enemy is still a danger. A destroyed enemy is a warning. Machiavelli advised that cruelty, if necessary, should be swift and decisive, because the longer it drags, the more chance for others to intervene. Your enemies must learn that opposing you comes with a cost too high to pay twice. A single clean strike is worth more than 100 small cuts. But aggression is not always physical or even visible. It can be a sudden shift in alliances, the quiet withdrawal of support that leaves an opponent isolated. It can be the release of information at the exact moment it will cause the most disruption. It can be the subtle positioning of resources so that when they make their move, they find themselves already surrounded. Your aggression should sometimes feel like fate, as if no matter what they do, the end was written long before they acted. That perception alone can break their will. You must also be aware of the stage on which your aggression plays out. Public aggression creates fear, but it also creates martyrs. Private aggression removes threats without giving them the honor of becoming symbols. Decide carefully which serves you better. Sometimes you want the spectacle to make an example that freezes others in their tracks. Other times, the most devastating blow is the one no one hears about until the opponent has already vanished from relevance. Both have their place in the arsenal of a calculating ruler. Understand this. Calculated aggression is not about satisfying your ego. It's about shaping the power landscape so that each move you make pushes you closer to dominance. You are not here to get even. You are here to win the game entirely. Every act of aggression should advance your position, dismantle opposition, or strengthen your deterrence. Anything else is wasted motion, and wasted motion is weakness. Comment this: I strike with precision. Because in the Machiavellian arena, the predator who chooses his moment controls the outcome, and the predator who controls the outcome controls the world. Leverage weakness without mercy. Weakness is the universal currency of power. Every person has it: a flaw, a fear, a desire they cannot control. To the Machiavellian mind, weakness is not something to pity. It is something to map, measure, and exploit. This is not cruelty for cruelty's sake. This is strategy. In a world where everyone is willing to use your weaknesses against you, refusing to use theirs is not morality, it's self-sabotage. The man who survives longest is the man who turns every weakness he finds into leverage, and the man who uses that leverage without hesitation. The first step is detection. You must become a silent observer of human nature, reading more from their reactions than from their words. Watch what makes their voice sharpen or their posture stiffen. Note the moments they overreact, the subjects they avoid, the people they defer to. Weakness often hides in plain sight, disguised as pride, anger, or even kindness. The need to be liked is a weakness. The inability to control temper is a weakness. The hunger for recognition is a weakness. You collect these observations like a hunter marking trails, because when the time comes, you'll know exactly which path leads to your prey. Once you have identified a weakness, you keep it close, not to use immediately, but to hold until the right moment. Premature moves waste potential. Sometimes a weakness gains value over time as circumstances shift. A favor they owe you now might be worth little, but when they are desperate, it becomes priceless. Machiavelli himself advised that patience in exploiting weakness allows the enemy to unknowingly dig their own grave. You are not rushing, you are allowing the pressure to build until a single push sends everything collapsing. Leverage is about choice. You can use a weakness to force compliance, to extract resources, to neutralize a threat, or to destroy an enemy entirely. The form it takes depends on your objective. If you need obedience, apply pressure quietly. If you need to ruin them, expose it at the most visible moment. If you want to weaken alliances, let their weakness slip into the ears of those they need most. Every use must serve a larger strategy. Leverage without purpose is waste. Leverage without timing is noise. You must also protect the knowledge of how you gained this leverage. If they know you've been watching, they'll hide deeper. If they know you've been collecting, they'll try to reverse the power. Secrecy is your insurance. The less they suspect, the more effective the pressure. You can even use indirect channels, a suggestion passed through someone they trust, a rumor seeded where they will hear it but never trace it back to you. The greatest Machiavellian victories are those in which the target destroys themselves using their own flaws. And here is where the without mercy part becomes critical. Mercy is a luxury of the secure. You are not secure until you are untouchable. If a threat's weakness gives you the chance to remove them permanently, you take it. If it allows you to cripple their influence, you do so without regret. A dangerous opponent left standing is not kindness, it is negligence. You owe no loyalty to those who would destroy you if given the chance. You owe loyalty to your survival, your mission, and the stability of your power. You will find that once you begin operating this way, the world will hand you opportunities constantly. People will confess their weaknesses without realizing it, desperate for validation or understanding. They will offer you handles to control them in exchange for comfort. You will accept these handles without judgment, because judgment is for the weak. The strong collect tools, and weakness, more than wealth, more than connections, is the most versatile tool of all. Comment this: I turn weakness into power. Because in the Machiavellian game, the man who can exploit weakness without mercy never runs out of weapons, and the man with endless weapons cannot be dethroned. The power of controlled cruelty. Cruelty is feared. Mercy is loved. But in a Machiavellian world, fear lasts longer than love. Controlled cruelty is not recklessness. It is precision terror. It is the calculated decision to be ruthless at exactly the moment it will have the greatest impact, and to stop the moment its purpose is achieved. The key word is controlled. Too much cruelty and you breed rebellion. Too little and you invite disrespect. The balance lies in being feared enough to be left alone, but not hated enough to unite your enemies against you. This is a razor's edge only the disciplined can walk. History is full of rulers who misunderstood this balance. Some drowned in their own brutality, and others fell because they were too soft. Machiavelli himself warned that cruelty, when necessary, should be applied all at once, swift, decisive, and impossible to forget. Dragging it out invites sympathy for the victim and gives your enemies time to rally. A single decisive act, however harsh, can prevent years of subtle challenges. The wound must be deep enough that no one dares to test your defenses again, yet quick enough that the public loses interest before resentment can grow. Controlled cruelty can take many forms. It can be the public dismissal of someone who dared to undermine you, done in such a way that the entire room feels the coldness of your authority. It can be a calculated humiliation, subtle enough to seem accidental, but devastating enough to cripple their confidence. It can be the sudden removal of resources from a rival, timed so that their entire plan collapses overnight. Whatever the form, the cruelty must carry a message. Opposition has a cost, and you are willing to make others pay it. But cruelty must never be self-indulgent. If it is for your ego, you have already lost control. It must serve strategy, not pride. You do not lash out in anger, you strike in stillness. You are the surgeon, not the butcher. Every act must have a purpose: to deter future rebellion, to remove a threat entirely, or to remind the watching crowd where the true power lies. The moment cruelty becomes about your feelings rather than your position, you risk becoming a tyrant in the eyes of those who matter. A tyrant is not feared, he is plotted against. Another key to controlled cruelty is its unpredictability. If they can anticipate exactly when and how you will act, they can prepare for it. Your cruelty must arrive like a storm, sudden, overwhelming, and beyond argument. Sometimes it is public, a spectacle designed to freeze the hearts of all who witness it. Other times it is private, a quiet conversation that leaves the other person walking away pale and broken. The unpredictability ensures that everyone stays just cautious enough around you to never test your limits. You must also understand the psychological residue cruelty leaves behind. A man who has been on the receiving end of your decisive strike will never forget it. Even if he survives, even if he recovers, the shadow of that moment will live in his mind. This is not just deterrence, it is branding. You brand your power into their memory so deeply that even the thought of crossing you again feels like self-destruction. And others who hear of it will carry that same shadow without ever having felt your hand directly. Cruelty also has a paradox. When used sparingly, it increases your moral authority. If you are known to be fair most of the time, then when you act with severity, people assume you had reason. They may not like it, but they will rationalize it for you. This is why controlled cruelty requires restraint. You must be able to hold back most of the time so that when you do unleash it, it lands with maximum psychological weight. If you are cruel constantly, it loses its edge. If you are cruel rarely, it becomes unforgettable. The ultimate truth is this: kindness may win you followers, but cruelty, precise, controlled cruelty, ensures that no one dares to turn those followers into traitors. It keeps the wolves outside your gates, too afraid to test your walls. It ensures that the balance of fear and respect stays in your favor. In the Machiavellian game, mercy is a gift, cruelty is insurance. Comment this: my cruelty is calculated, because in the world of power, the man who knows when and how to be ruthless holds the throne, and the man who holds the throne writes the law. Psychological camouflage. The most dangerous predator is the one that looks harmless until it's too late. Psychological camouflage is the art of blending into the environment so completely that no one sees you coming. In the Machiavellian game, This is your cloak of invisibility, the ability to hide ambition behind charm, to hide cunning behind humility, to hide your blade behind a handshake. People will always guard themselves against the obvious threat. They will leave themselves open to the one they believe poses no danger. You will make them believe you are the latter, right up until the moment you strike. Camouflage begins with self-control. Your thoughts, your ambitions, your strategies, none of them are for public display. You speak like someone with nothing to prove. You let others talk about themselves. Let them believe they are the smartest voice in the room. The more they underestimate you, the easier they are to outmaneuver. This is not submission, it is bait. You feed their ego so they lower their guard. You allow them to see you as a piece in their game, all the while making moves to turn the board in your favor. Charm is one of your strongest tools here. You will learn to read the emotional needs of others and give them just enough to feel safe with you. Some people need validation, others need admiration, others need a sense of superiority. You give them exactly what they crave, and in return, they give you trust. Trust is the open door you walk through. It is the bridge that lets you cross into places you would otherwise be barred from. But trust, once gained, is never given back. You will use it when the time is right. Part of effective camouflage is calculated vulnerability. Not real vulnerability, that would be weakness, but the appearance of it. You allow small, controlled flaws to be seen so that others believe you cannot be a serious threat. A self-deprecating joke, a subtle admission of uncertainty, a harmless mistake, these make you appear relatable, even harmless. While they think you are distracted or naive, you are already setting the trap that will close around them. The appearance of weakness is often the strongest armor. But camouflage also means knowing when to fade into the background entirely. You do not need to be in every conversation, every decision, every spotlight. Sometimes the most powerful position is the one no one notices until it's too late. Let rivals exhaust themselves in visible battles. Let them expose their strategies for everyone to see. While they burn energy proving their dominance, you are quietly building your advantage. And when they finally fall, you step forward, not as the challenger, but as the obvious successor. One of the great strengths of psychological camouflage is plausible deniability. If they cannot prove you are a threat, they cannot justify attacking you. If they cannot explain how you gained your advantage, they cannot prevent you from gaining more. The best power plays are the ones that appear to be accidents, coincidences, or natural shifts in circumstance. You win, but the victory looks like fate, not design. And when victory looks like fate, no one thinks to fight it, they simply accept it. Infiltration is another application of this skill. You can move into enemy territory, a rival's circle, a hostile alliance, a competitive arena, without resistance if you appear unthreatening. Once inside, you observe, you collect information, you build relationships, all under the guise of harmless participation. And then, when the moment comes, you reveal just enough of your true capability to seize control. The shock alone is often enough to secure the win. They never saw you coming, so they have no defense prepared. Psychological camouflage is not about cowardice. It is about patience, control, and the ability to see 10 moves ahead. You are not hiding because you are afraid. You are hiding because your victory depends on the enemy never preparing for you. The moment they realize what you are capable of is the moment you've already won. And if you do this correctly, by the time they do realize, their only thought will be, it's already too late. Comment this: they'll never see me coming, because in the Machiavellian game, the enemy who can be seen can be stopped, but the one who moves unseen writes the ending. Becoming untouchable. To be untouchable is not to be without enemies. It is to be beyond their reach. In the Machiavellian world, this is the final stage of power. The point at which your position is so fortified, your reputation so dangerous, and your influence so woven into the structure of the game that removing you would cause more damage than leaving you in place. You no longer waste energy on defense because the cost of attacking you is so high that no one dares. You are not invisible. You are unavoidable. You are the storm they navigate around, not the obstacle they try to move. Becoming untouchable begins with building layers of protection. No single shield is enough. You must have alliances, leverage, reputation, resources, and information, all reinforcing each other. If one layer fails, the others hold. Your allies should benefit from your survival so much that losing you would harm them more than keeping you. Your enemies should believe that striking you will unleash consequences they cannot predict or control. This is not just deterrence, it is entanglement. You make your existence essential to too many moving parts for anyone to risk removing you. Your reputation becomes a weapon here, not the shallow kind built on charm, but the deep, whispered kind built on fear, respect, and mystery. People should have stories about you, stories of decisive victories, of calculated cruelty, of moves so precise they seem like luck. They don't have to know the details. The lack of detail makes it more powerful. A reputation for being dangerous to cross will protect you in rooms you've never entered. It will make people think twice before speaking your name in the wrong tone. It will make them police themselves without you lifting a finger. The untouchable also controls the flow of information. You decide what is known and what is guessed. You control narratives through subtle influence, not desperate announcements. The best way to silence rumors is to make the truth harder to believe than the lie. Feed your enemies enough conflicting information that they spend more time doubting each other than attacking you. Use mystery as armor. When they don't know your next move, they imagine the worst, and fear makes them hesitate. A critical part of becoming untouchable is ensuring that every attack on you feels like an attack on something bigger. If someone strikes you, they should find themselves at war with more than just you. Perhaps with your allies, with the structure that supports you, or even with the perception of stability you represent. The more collateral their attack creates, the less willing they will be to risk it. This is why great rulers throughout history tied their image to the prosperity of their people. To attack the ruler was to risk collapsing the entire system. Untouchable does not mean static. Power that stands still eventually rots. You must continue to grow, to adapt, to shift the terrain under your enemy's feet. This constant evolution keeps them from finding your weaknesses, because by the time they think they've identified one, you've already moved. Be unpredictable in your progress, change your strategies, expand into new arenas, shift alliances when it benefits you. An untouchable man is never where his enemies expect him to be, physically or strategically. There is also the matter of presence. The untouchable commands the room without trying. Every gesture, every silence, every glance carries weight because people have learned what you are capable of. You don't need to threaten. The memory of what happens when others crossed you is threat enough. You don't need to boast. Your track record speaks louder than your voice ever could. The less you need to prove, the more power you project. In this final stage, your power is self-sustaining. Even your absence is felt like a presence. You must also master the art of the invisible boundary. Everyone should know you have limits that cannot be crossed, but those limits should be learned through experience, not through explanation. The more they discover these boundaries themselves, the more ingrained they become. A man who tests you and survives will spread the word faster than you ever could. Boundaries enforced without exception make you predictable in principle, but unpredictable in execution. They know there's a line, but they never know exactly what you'll do when it's crossed. Becoming untouchable is not the end of the game. It's the point where the game changes. You no longer scramble to survive. You shape the battlefield so that survival is inevitable. You no longer seek approval. You dictate terms. You are no longer part of the competition. You are the measure by which the competition is judged. Every rival becomes a student of your moves, even if they call themselves your enemy. Every ally becomes more loyal because your stability protects them as much as it protects you. And the final truth, untouchable does not mean immortal. One day, the throne will pass. But if you've played the game well, by the time that day comes, you will have already secured your legacy, your influence, and your mark on the world. Even in absence, your name will be a force, your lessons a weapon in the hands of those who learned from you. Untouchable in life, unforgettable in history, that is the ultimate Machiavellian victory. Comment this: I will become untouchable. Then remember, like this, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the game never ends and the next move is always yours.